I am so excited. Well, first of all, I'm very honored to be a part of this community. As Linda had mentioned, I am really honored to have been served as a board member here for leadHERship Global. I love this community. I've connected with a lot of you guys already on LinkedIn. People are like, I'm so excited to jump on. So I love it. Well, let's jump in. I want to hear where it is that you guys are viewing from. I am based in Dallas, Texas. I know Linda and I are Texas girls, so let me know in the chat where it is that you're viewing from, because I love this global community. Susan, what's up, Texas? And I'm so excited to get to know you guys. I am telling you, this is going to be a conversation that is truly going to change the game about how it is that you make decisions. Is anyone here a little overwhelmed with all the opportunities you have in front of you? Like, you almost feel embarrassed that you're like, I have so many things I could do. And so if you complain to your family or your friends or people outside of this community, they think that you're like a little cuckoo because you're like, well, I could do this and I could do that. And they're like, I wish I had like 10% of those opportunities. And here we are complaining about how having too many options. So today, my big promise for you is that I want to give you a tool set, a perspective shift, hopefully something that you're going to be able to take out of your pocket and apply when you're trying to decide what's next. So if that sounds good to you, just give me a yes in the chat, because I am so ready to rock and roll. This morning, I was working on kind of tuning up my presentation for you guys, and I was like, I already know this is such an incredible group. So I'm so stinking excited. Let's go. We've got people from all over the world. So, which of course is very on brand here for leadHERship Global. So I'm so stinking excited. So I'm going to hit my, my share screen, and we are going to get rocking and rolling. So let me know in the chat, just say on if you can see my screen. Just say on if you can see my screen. Okay, perfect. Awesome. Well, let's rock and roll. As Linda mentioned before, I'm just a girl obsessed with helping people find their purpose. And it really started because I needed to find my own purpose. I don't know if anyone here has kind of noticed that thing that happens when you've learned how to solve a problem for yourself. You have this duty that you have to help other people with that thing. Can I get an amen? You're like, I learned how to get out of debt. I need to help other people make strong financial decisions. I learned how to raise kids that didn't kill me or kill each other. I got to help other people with that. I learned how to start a business. I learned how to be a woman at the top and help other women get to the top. I got to help other people with that. There is a profound shift. A message we say all the time here in our community at the Purpose Company is your story is your authority. Your story is your authority. So many times we think we're not qualified, or we need to go back to school, or we need to write all these books, or we need to have a bunch of letters after our name to feel qualified. But I just want to tell somebody here today that you are completely qualified because of the story. Your track record is powerful. That's what people want, is they don't need to have the flashy certificates and the degrees. They need to know, is this thing gonna work for me? So that's really the backbone of how I got to where I am now. So I'm gonna share with you guys the core questions you need to ask to get clarity on what's next. I've got a really super cool giveaway I'm gonna give you guys for staying to the end. I've actually never done this before, but I love Linda, I love this community, and I'm so stinking excited. You guys are going to absolutely freak out when I share with you what that is. And let's get rocking and rolling. So I love sharing what I know. I'm an oversharer. Does anyone else share a little bit too much? That's me. So I'm probably gonna share a little bit too much, if that's okay with you guys, because I don't wanna gatekeep. I don't want to feel like I left anything in my heart or in my head. So I just want to really serve you and share things with you. So I hope that you're taking notes. Make sure that you're taking notes, and you might want to come back and watch the recording later, because your new friend Gab here is ready to rock and roll. And I've got more coffee. My husband just delivered coffee to me. So like, who knows? The good Lord found it hilarious to call me Gab, because I got the gift of it. So we're going to move really quick, and I'm very excited. So I want to make sure you're in the right place. So this presentation has really been crafted specifically for you if you're feeling called to help people and maybe overwhelmed with those options. You have too many things you could do, and you want to know with clarity and conviction, that confident clarity that just says, I got this, that you know what it is that you must do. This is also for you if you know that this next season might not be just about building someone else's thing. You've probably had that success in your life and your career, and you're ready for that significance. You're ready for that give back. You're ready for the redemption story. You're ready for your comeback story. And you're also too really passionate about helping other people. So if that's you, just say me in the chat, because I want to make sure that you're going to get absolutely everything out of this conversation. Awesome. Okay, well, high five to each one of you guys here. Let's get rocking and rolling. So as Linda mentioned, this is the system that we have used, and it's brought us to stages all over the world. I won't get into all the places that we've spoken at and all the people that we've worked with, but we've been able to take this and scale it. So I want you guys to know it's not just one redhead's opinion. This is something that truly has been tested and systemized and scaled in a really powerful way. You see, when I first started off, I knew I wanted to change the world. I don't know if anyone was like that. When I went to school, I majored in politics and religion. Okay, like the two things you're not supposed to talk about in polite conversation or Thanksgiving. I was like, I'm just gonna double down on both of those. Let's just make people real uncomfortable. But the cornerstone of it really was I wanted to change the world. I was like, there's so much going on out there, and I wanna do something that makes a difference. And so I felt like a kid lost at Costco. Like, are you my purpose? Are you my purpose? So I worked with religious organizations. I worked for nonprofits. I worked for universities. I worked as in the education committee in the Schwarzenegger administration in California. I mean, anything that I felt like I could do something to make a difference, I was doing, and yet I was still unfulfilled. I don't know if anyone's felt that way, that you're like, I should have more fulfillment. Like, people probably look at you, say, well, why are you complaining? You make good money. You have an incredible family. You're making an impact. But for whatever reason, us weirdos, I don't know, we're just made a little different, that we know that there is something out there that's more. That's more. So there on the left, that's me teaching communication and leadership when I was 23 years old. And that's me last year doing seminars. We do training here for teams and individuals here in our offices in Dallas, Texas. So I've been doing this for a hot minute and learned a lot along the way. You see, when I was brought into all these organizations, I was speak on communication and leadership. I was working with all these companies, and they kept talking about, hey, how do we get the next generation engaged? I mean, I started my first company when I was 24 years old. I knew that I wanted to create cross-generational communication, and I kept coming down to this one word: purpose. And so I was brought into all these companies, organizations, the US military, and then I would have people come up to me afterwards and say, you know, Gab, you're talking about how to reach millennials and Gen Z, but we want purpose too. And we're not millennials and Gen Z. We want that thing too. And I was like, shh, don't tell anyone. I'll be out of a job. Like, I'm the millennial girl, right? And so what we started to realize was I developed a company, and I even developed a brand that talked about the things that made us different. And that wasn't sitting right with me, because I believe that my purpose is in reconciliation, is in bringing people together and finding out what it is that we happen to have in common. You see, I discovered this. There on the right is my husband. And this was many years ago. We were doing a leadership brief for a major grocery chain. They brought us in to say, what's wrong with the next generation? So that was kind of my job. I kind of felt like half therapist, half consultant, and maybe half parenting coach, I'm not quite sure. And in it, they brought us in, they said, hey, you know, we want to talk about how to reach our employees and engage them. And my husband kept saying, Gab, we need to talk about purpose at work. And I was like, you are so sweet. You are so handsome. You're so smart. You are so wrong. I was like, I'm not coming into organizations and having them pay. I don't know if anyone here works with their partner. That's like probably a whole other seminar. And we'll bring in like the therapists and everything for that. I'm not qualified. But in that moment, my husband was so right and I was so wrong, because he recognized that there was an ROI for purpose and I didn't. I was like, that's ridiculous. I'm not going to get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars by these major brands when they're like, hey, help us create engaging places to work. And I'm like, help them find their purpose, and then leaving. Like that didn't seem like a good pitch for me at the end of the day. But here's what happened in this fluorescently lit room. This isn't where I thought my life was going to change, but this is actually where it changed. So you see, this was a day 2 of a 3-day seminar we were doing for the executives at this company. And I was like starving, you know, like hangry? Does anyone else here get hangry? Just say me in the chat. It's okay. Maybe you're snacking right now. Okay, I get it. I'm not like the skip breakfast. I'm not like the intermittent faster. I'm like the constant snacker. And so halfway through this training, I was like, Mama needs a snack. I was like, I can't keep doing this. Like, Brian, can you just come in and do the rest of this session? And he said, absolutely. So I leave, I go get like a Lara bar. I'm like taking 20 minutes, and I walk back into this training session with these executives. They're all HR executives, and they're all crying. They're crying. And I walk in and I'm like, honey, you broke my executives. What are you doing? Like, they're never going to hire us again. Like, what in the world happened? And they were crying because they were having one conversation that changed the game for them and changed the game for us. You see, we asked a question that was really powerful, and I encourage you to ask it with maybe your partner or your kids, or maybe you just want to ask it of yourself. The question is this: what is one moment that most shaped your perspective? What is one moment that most shaped your perspective? This is what we call your origin story. So in this moment, there's one of the individuals there, a young man named Pete. He raised his hand, he said, I'll go. And he told the story. He said, I remember I was walking home from college class, and I walked in on my roommate, and he was sitting there with a firearm in his mouth, ready to take his own life. So I ran over and I took the gun out of his mouth, and in that moment, I didn't know what to do, but I knew I had to do something. So he got his friend a job. He was also a bagger at this grocery chain, and he got his friend back on his feet. And Pete said with tears in his eyes, he said, I never realized till this moment right now, that is why I got into HR. He said, I got into HR because I realized maybe at some point a job could save someone's life. At this point, everybody's ugly crying, including myself. Like, eyelashes are falling off. I'm like, okay, honey, you're right. Like, there's a moment that happened because we realized that not only does purpose have an ROI, because people are 300% more productive if they know their purpose at work. There's an 87% increase in retention and recruiting if a person knows their purpose and recruits other people because they're like, I can live out my purpose at work. We've done so many cool research, nerdy study things about it. That's my side of the world. But the most important thing is we realize that we believe leaders have a duty to help other people find their purpose. And that moment shifted everything. So from there, we wrote our book, The Purpose Factor. We got our TED Talk. We developed this Purpose Factor assessment. I'll talk to you more about how I'm giving you guys access to that. But what was so fascinating is from there, it became our most requested topic. There we are at Joint Base Lackland, where we came in and trained the 37th Training Wing on how to engage. And listen to this, guys. They were so excited because we need to find out, is what they said, how to personalize the mission. They said, we're the Air Force. We got a big mission. People know what the mission is, but they don't know what it means for them. And they said, we realize working with you that purpose personalizes the mission. And so we've had an opportunity to help, as Linda mentioned, over 100,000 people that we've taught how to find their purpose. 16,000 employees last year alone went through this process that I'm about to share with you guys here today. And so I just want to share the backstory, because what you're about to learn, it's like when you find your purpose, it's like someone turns the light switch on. It's like things now finally start to make sense. It's like you were living in grayscale. Now you get to live in living color. So I want to hear from you guys here. What do you feel like your purpose is? Just let me know in the chat. There's no right answer. There's no wrong answer. What do you feel that your purpose is here in the chat? As you guys are sharing what that looks like, I'm so excited. And like I said, I love to create conversations around what purpose is, because y'all, I don't have a ton of time to talk about this, but I thought my purpose was my passion. Like I did, and I had too many passions, and turns out I wasn't good at most of the things I was passionate about. I was like, let me try this and let me try that. And I thought my purpose was the thing that I was most excited about at that moment. And so I could have been most excited about in grad school is tried to start a coffee cart. I tried to start a clothing company in high school. I mean, I was so passionate about so many things. And then I looked up the dictionary definition of passion. I don't know if anyone has done that. I'm gonna save you the ChatGPT search. The Oxford Dictionary definition of passion is a barely controllable emotion. What? A barely controllable emotion. So if you're giving someone advice, if your kid comes to you and you're like, I don't know what to do next, we probably shouldn't be telling them, follow your barely controllable emotion. When you're thinking about what kind of company to start, it's probably not the best place to start to consider, I should start a business around my barely controllable emotion. So if it's not passion, what is it? I love seeing this in the chat. Guys, you guys have some powerful purpose statements here, giving people perspective to articulate what people can feel, and that they can't articulate themselves. Amy, that's powerful. Encourage and motivate women to believe in themselves. I love this, Marilee, helping parents break generational cycles of yelling and shame. Let's go, Carrie. Oh my gosh. Help others reach their potential. I mean, you guys are, this is a purpose-packed group. I'm not surprised that y'all have clarity on that purpose. And when I hope it feels good, even you just writing it out. I don't know if anyone's asked you what your purpose is. I don't know if anyone's given you the moment to reflect, to say, what is it that I'm put on this planet for? Because when you find your purpose, it's the difference of feeling like you're getting pushed to do something all the time and this feeling of should. A mentor of mine says, stop shoulding all over yourself. Kind of cheeky, but we do this. We have these shoulds, especially as women in leadership, of I should show up, or I should stay late, or I should help them, or I shouldn't start, or I should. And instead of saying, what should you do? Whenever you hear the word should, just replace it with shame. What we need to start thinking about is, what must I do? That thing that's pulling us, that is what purpose is. It's that pull inside of us that many of us can't explain why. I love this quote by Zig Ziglar. He says, you can have everything in life that you want if you just help other people get what they want. When we serve other people, you see, that's what purpose really is it's service unto others. So I love the opening line of Purpose Driven Life, one of the most sold books of all time. Rick Warren opens it up and he says, it's not about you. Immediately, the conversation shifts from how does purpose make me feel to who is it that I'm supposed to help. The conversations around purpose have been really focused on questions of like, what should I do? Or words like why, which can be powerful, but they're still inward focused. The conversation I want to have here is, how do we find who it is that we're supposed to serve? Because purpose is really a question of who. Who am I and who am I supposed to help? You see, the question of purpose is something that you see all the time. I mean, here's just some of the universities that use Find Your Purpose as a tagline. And I went to college a couple of times. I've got a bunch of degrees, and going through degree after degree, I don't know about you, that didn't help me find my purpose. I got smarter. I learned resilience. I learned how to write a mean essay, but I didn't necessarily find my purpose. Where I did find my purpose is in the process that I'm going to share with you today. So the system I'm sharing with you, here's just some of the companies that we've brought this into. And when we developed this process for purpose discovery, we wanted to make sure that it was systemizable and scalable. Because when we were looking for our purpose, I felt like I needed to go, on an expensive retreat to go find my purpose, or go see it in a sunset, or maybe, eat, pray, love my way through Europe, which I happened to do anyway, trying to find what's next for me. And so creating it in tandem with some of the organizations that I shared here with you is really the system that I'm about to hand you over as well. So what we love to talk about is using purpose first, and using purpose as a decision-making tool. Because when you understand how the brain makes decisions, our brains are very smart and very dumb. Our brains are trying to figure out, is this safe or is this scary? And so when you have purpose, you're no longer reacting to what's being given to you. You're proacting and creating something based off of what you know that you can experience fulfillment around. So what is purpose? We define purpose as the best of what you have to help others. The best of what you have to help others. And when you think about purpose, you have to think about purpose in tandem. It's like one side of the coin of fulfillment, because fulfillment is the result of helping others with your purpose. I've taught purpose around the world, and most people I work with aren't walking around saying, I don't know what my purpose is. They're oftentimes saying something like, I don't feel fulfilled. Am I living up to my potential? Is there something more? And so purpose can oftentimes be found by looking at the breadcrumbs of things like fulfillment. This is something that we call purpose in one picture. So purpose, as you see, is something that you give to others, and fulfillment is something that you receive as a result of living out your purpose. If you and I were to spend an afternoon together to talk about what's next for you or what your purpose is and how to create fulfillment on demand, the first question I would ask you is this, and I encourage you to write it down. It's a beautiful conversation to have with your partner, your kids, your team. Here's the question. What has been your most fulfilled day at work? What has been your most fulfilled day at work? It could be this past week. It could be in the last 10 years. And I encourage you to think about a specific day, to not be general. The power is in the specificity. And so what were you doing? Who were you helping? And how did it make you feel? When we get clarity on what that is, we can start to see that there were semblances of our purpose all along. Fulfillment leaves clues, and so does purpose. So if in your most fulfilled day, it was when you came into the office and people didn't have the answer for what to do because there was a VIP coming in, and you just snapped to it and you're like, I know what to do. I know how to prep. I know how to make sure that everything moves quickly and seamlessly. I know how to make sure that the end result is powerful and it's something we're proud of. And what did that look like? Is it you serving the VIP that was most exciting? Was it you serving alongside your clients? Was it you working with a vendor? When we start to get clear on who is it that we most love helping, we can now create that fulfillment on demand. So I wrote this and I was like, there's two things that everyone wants to know. And then I corrected it because there's actually three. The first of three is every single person wants to know that they matter. Every single person, your kids, your team members, your employees, everyone wants to know that they matter. The second thing that they want to know is what they do matters. They want to know that what they're doing is impacting the world. One of the most frustrating moments we will have is when we work on something and then it's like Control Alt Delete. Like, what happened? As someone who has written 7 books, the most scary thing, the things that live in my nightmares is deleting my manuscripts. Has anyone done that where it's like you worked really hard on a project and then it like etch-a-sketched away? Like, that is something so frustrating. As human, we are created to create. We love developing things. And so we need to help people identify what they do matters. That's what feedback loops are really powerful for. And the third thing that I just added this morning, which is very relevant, I think, for many of us in this room, is everyone wants to know what's next for them. We are creatures who love forward momentum. Has anyone felt that way, that you achieved something that you really wanted to do? Maybe you finally did that half marathon. Maybe you finally got the kids out of the house. Maybe you finally got the promotion. And the next day you wake up and you're like, oh, everything's fine. I can stop trying. No, you're like, what's next for me? We're always wanting to know what's next. And I want to share with you, how is it that you can determine what's next so that way you've got clarity? You see, all of us are asking these core questions in one way or another. And so when you get clarity on your purpose, it's like a lightning bolt just went off and now I know what to do and how to do it. And so that lightning bolt then gives you a system of decision making, because there are thousands of decisions we think that we're making every day, but we're really just making one decision. The only decision we're ever making is this aligned with my purpose, or is this not aligned with my purpose? Is this aligned with my purpose, or is this not aligned with my purpose? When you make something that black and white, you have so much, you have an empowerment that is unstoppable. You're no longer people pleasing. You're no longer procrastinating. You're no longer trying to be a perfectionist with everything. You now know, is this with my purpose or is this not with my purpose? And having that system and that tool set is something that you can take inside of your organization. It's something you can take with your team. It's something you can take with your family. And why this works, it's so simple. So we call it the so that principle. You see, finding your purpose alone is not the end goal. It's not like we are like meditating on these yoga mats and then all of a sudden we're like, I know my purpose and that's it. It's us then saying, I have clarity, now what do I do with it? And so we've seen people get clarity on their purpose so that they can then help, maybe they lead a sales team. And so they'll find their purpose, or their team members find their purpose, and then they're making more money as a sales professional. Or maybe they're finding purpose so that way they can have the confidence and know the worth it factor to actually get out of debt. Or maybe it's so that they can finally finish their degree or stay at their job during the slow season or brand themselves authentically. When you know your purpose, you then have that empowerment that, again, is truly unstoppable. So I want to share with you guys the 3 secrets when it comes to how is it that you kind of live out those purpose elements. So the first thing is what I mentioned is starting with purpose first. So when you find purpose first, powerful things happen. So we've seen people find their purpose before they get hired. So some people find their purpose as part of their onboarding program. Dollywood actually used our system and tool set to onboard every new employee, help them find purpose before they joined the organization. So fun. Maybe it's helping someone find their purpose. Maybe if you're a consultant or maybe you are a coach and helping your people find purpose. So that way the rest of the program makes sense. Like we have people who are weight loss coaches who help them find their purpose. So that way they're like, oh, I actually have the confidence to stick with the program because I know getting well is part of me being able to live out my purpose. Or maybe if you are leading a team or a parent, helping people find their purpose so that way when setbacks come, they now know it's part of the process. Like I love encouraging people because I know what it's like to feel like, am I on the right track? And so whenever someone hits a bump in the road, I now teach them to expect it. One of the things my mom used to always say growing up is new levels, new devils. Has anyone here felt that way? That you're like, as soon as I get to this new level, there's a new thing that's coming at me. And you're like, I thought it was going to be easy. I thought the air was going to be cleaner up here. I thought it was going to be like smooth sailing, but what? There's another storm. Now I've learned to expect it. And so now when the storm comes, I now know it's all part of my process. New levels, new devils. So some of the things that I've learned, I'm going to share with you guys some business stuff. Like I said, I'm an ROI kind of girl. So I want to show you guys how it is that I've actually used these tools in my own business. If that's okay with you, just say like, okay. If you're like, I'm okay with you sharing with me a couple of business secrets. Okay, cool. Because I love helping people monetize either inside of their company or if they have their own clients, that's totally fine. I just want to share with you guys something really powerful. It's something I learned the hard way, and it's called making something generally specific. So you want to, when you're looking at how to serve others with your purpose, is you want to identify a specific problem experienced by a general audience. Now in the marketing world, many of us have probably heard that the riches are in the niches, but the truth is those niches can run out really quickly. I know I did it. I niched too fast, too hard, too specifically, and I was like, where are my people at? I was like, oh, I've already served all of them. But if you look at what's a specific problem that a general audience can experience, you will never run out of people to serve. So you don't have to necessarily pick a niche audience when you're talking about who is your who. Focus on a niche solution, because I want to encourage you guys to think about when you're talking about living out your purpose, and some of those purpose statements were so beautiful, is focus on what problem is that person experiencing. What problem? Because every single person, whether you're a barista at a coffee shop or the president of the United States, you're in the business of solving problems. Every single one of us. And so the more confident we are in how we specifically can solve those problems, the more confident we're going to be in the delivery of that solution. So we call that message mobility, having a message that you can share to multiple audiences. Y'all, I've spoken around the world, and I've spoken to audiences from insulation installers to funeral directors to the White House. Okay, like I know what message mobility means. And that means having something that people, as soon as you say it, they say, that's so me. That's so me. And that's you sharing what it is that you've overcome. So once you have that message of mobility, you have nearly endless opportunities of who it is that you can help. Now, this is something that's going to be a total game changer for some of you. Some of you, this isn't going to make any sense and it's irrelevant. Some of you, this is going to be the most important piece of advice I could ever give you. Okay. I want you, if you're looking for who it is that you're called to help, is to look for audiences that are curious, not critical. Curious, not critical. Now, there's this ancient principle that talks about a prophet is hated in their own hometown. I don't know who needs to hear this today, where it's like the people that you're closest to don't see you because they're comparing who you are right now to who they remember you being or who you've been for them in the past, or a story that they're telling themselves about who they think that you should be for them. All of those things are keeping you from having the breakthrough to live out your purpose, because so many times we put our purpose in someone else's hands. We put our purpose growing up in our parents' hands when we say, is this good enough? What school should I go to? What area of work should I go after? Is this good enough? We put our purpose in universities' hands to say, am I good enough? And if I study right or get the degree or get the acknowledgement that I need, we put our purpose in our partner's hands to say, hey, will you tell me who I am in context of you? We put purpose in our kids' hands to say our role and our meaning is dependent upon our need to be needed. And what I'm telling you guys right now is like your purpose is so powerful that like some of you guys are going to have like, you're already having like crazy revelations of like, what is my purpose right now out of context of everybody else? And I need to take my purpose back. Yes, serve those people, your kids, your partner, your team members, your employees. Yes, serve those people, but your purpose is not a reaction to them. It is a choice to serve them. So I've just seen this so many times in my own life, especially, that we are going around to people saying, hey, what do you think my purpose is, rather than doing the due diligence of finding your purpose itself. So here's how I found this out. Okay, so I had a client years and years ago, and he was the second helicopter pilot on the scene after the Deepwater Horizon oil spill. And he came to me because he was speaking a lot, and I help a lot of people become speakers just because I've done it for a long time. And he said, Gab, I want to speak at more conferences. I said, okay, well, who are you speaking to now? He's mostly speaking to the medical community. He's like, they're not paying me or they're not interested. And I said, okay, well, why are you going after the medical community? I was like, bro, Mark Wahlberg is in your movie. Okay, like you're teaching on like crisis under like leadership-based crisis, like what are you doing? There's so many people who need to learn from what it is that you have gone through. I said, you need to go to the nerds. I was like, you need to go to the accountants. You need to go to the attorneys. Like you need to go after people who are curious about your story, not critical of it. Because the people he was going after, the medical community, were too close to it. They're like, well, what did you do in this situation? And what code did you enter? And they knew too much. So some of you are trying to go after a community that you're too close to. You're like, I'm a real estate agent, so I want to help other real estate agents, but they're too focused on what your numbers were. They're not focusing on the transformation that you can actually provide for them. Some of you are saying, yeah, I really want to help people who are just like me, but you're too close to them. So they're too critical of it rather than curious of it. And sometimes you have to take a step back so that way you can take a step up. And I saw that on my own life and my own journey as I was working inside of organizations, and they did not take any advice from me until I quit, started my own consulting firm. And you know what? They hired me back as a consultant and finally took my advice. So I don't know who needs to hear that sometimes it's just the power of positioning that is the breakthrough for your purpose. The second secret is we need to answer the worth it question. Every single time we are making a decision, we are making a micro decision, whether it is what we're going to eat for breakfast, how late we're going to stay out, what clients we're going to work with. We're all asking a version of the same question, which is what I'm doing worth it? Is it worth it? Is the donut worth it? Sometimes. Is the working with this client who's really needy but is going to pay you a lot of money worth it? Is pushing through and not saying something that's immediately on your mind when you're having a fight with your partner or a feedback session with one of your employees, is it worth it? Every single one of us need to be given a tool set, a framework to answer, is what I'm doing worth it? So here are the 4 questions of purpose that I want to share with you guys here today. So if you want to take a screenshot of this and use this with your team or reflect on this yourself, it's really powerful. The first one I've already shared with you is what's been your most fulfilled day at work. I want you to focus on what it is at work because that's usually how we're solving problems for others. Most fulfilled day, it could be you with your kids or you with your friends or you on vacation. That's not the fulfillment factor. That is the enjoyment factor. That's the happiness factor. So right now I want to help you identify what's most fulfilling for you. The second question, this is so good. What have you overcome that you can help others overcome? I've already seen some of it, of reversing generational frustrations around yelling or shame. Like it's probably something you've experienced, probably something you've overcome. Now you feel called to help others with it. What moment has most shaped your perspective as a leader? What was that line in the sand moment? And try to not be general. Again, the powers and the specificity of how can we jog our memory. And some of this is something that you guys need to take this and do some deep work on. Maybe you need to go on a walk outside. Maybe you need to take a moment and take yourself out to coffee and reflect on some of these questions, but they can be truly pivotal for you to determine what's next. And then finally, what skill set are you most proud of developing? When we developed the purpose factor assessment, it was really important for us to find something that talked about what is in your hands. Because many times when we talk about purpose, we talk about the head side of it and the heart side of it, but we very rarely talk about the hands. What is it that we're doing? How can we serve? How can we add value to the marketplace? And so that is the skill set component that you're most proud of developing. Let me know in the chat, which one of these questions do you feel like is going to be the most game changing for you? Which one is maybe kind of challenging your thinking, or maybe you're like, oh my gosh, I never thought about it that way. Which of these questions do you feel like, okay, this was kind of worth the price of admission? Number 2, yeah, what have you overcome that you can help others overcome? Yeah, what skill set most affected my life as a leader? Good. Yeah, what's been your most fulfilled day? Thanks, team. Yeah, super good. Super, super good. Yeah, and asking these questions in concert of others, one of my favorite things to do is we'll come into teams and we'll have them ask these core questions, and now they're bought into other people's answers. So if I'm on a team with Linda and Linda tells me what her most fulfilled day at work is, I want to help her feel more fulfilled, and so I'm going to give her projects that reflect what it is that she said that she enjoyed doing. And maybe I'll even take off work that she's like, yeah, that's the stuff that isn't fulfilling for me. I'm like, oh, I actually really like it. So now we're creating conversations, and the power of any assessment that I'm going to give you guys here in a second is context. It's not enough. How many of us have taken personality assessments and it just is like a mirror? And that's helpful. Mirrors are great. You can see what's in your teeth. You can see if you look cute or not. Like, you can see all those things as long as it's one of those skinny mirrors. You know, like I just was at a conference last week, and it was like a fat mirror in the hotel, and I was like, this ain't doing nobody any favors. Okay, we need some skinny mirrors. Okay, mirrors can be helpful, but a mirror without a toolbox isn't really useful long term. And so what we want to do is give you something that you can actually take and apply with your team and with your family. So a focusing question, if you're trying to decide what's next, what's in front of you, maybe it's a new job, maybe it's a new business opportunity, maybe it's a pivot, maybe it's, hey, I think I want to write this book, or hey, I think that I want to get into speaking, or, you know, I've really always thought about creating a podcast. Your focusing question must be, is how can I give my best in this current opportunity? If you're in a role, a relationship, thinking through how can I give my best? Because that is the cornerstone of purpose. If purpose is the best of what you have to help others, how can you give it in this current opportunity? And if you're deciding what's next, it could be the question is, will this give me an opportunity to give the best of what I have to help others? The third secret is to innovate, don't invent. So for those of you guys who are trying to figure out, how do I create something of value? I'm going to share with you one of the things that most changed my game as someone who has written a number of books, who develops IP all the time, has created many online courses. And I'm telling you guys, this thing gave me permission to do some janky stuff. Is that even like janky, like putting stuff out there that is like not totally polished? I don't know. Who here is a perfectionist? Just say me. If you're like, I'm a perfectionist, like, it's okay. It's just us. Yeah, right. Yes, I know. And it's this desire. I don't know. There's probably statistics. I feel like women tend to be more perfectionist than men because we kind of feel like we have to be, right? Like we feel like everything's got to be perfect ahead of time. And what I learned was when I was trying to be perfect, it was actually a fear of rejection. That I was like, if they say no, it can't be because I wasn't perfect. It's got to be on them. Something's got to be wrong with them. It can't be anything that's wrong with me. And it became this, we call it conviction killers. I don't have time to go into all of it, but one of the powerful tools that I love giving to people is identifying the 3 conviction killers. Okay, fine, I'll give it to you. So the 3 conviction killers are this. It's not on a slide, I'm just going to tell you guys. The number one way to kill conviction. So conviction is the unreasonable certainty that what I'm doing is right and worth it. Conviction is, I'm going to say it again, the unreasonable certainty that what I'm doing is right and worth it. It's got to be right, as in rightly aligned with my purpose, and it's got to be worth it. Because like if you have conviction, then you'll run through a brick wall. You're like, it has to be done. So we want to start building that conviction in ourselves, and it has to be in alignment with our purpose. There's 3 ways that we kill conviction. I see it happen every single day. The first one is perfectionism. Perfectionism is what we do before we see people so we feel worthy of their love and acceptance. Perfectionism is like, I want to be seen as perfect so that way they see me how I want to be seen. Okay. The second conviction killer, the thing that will conviction faster than anything is procrastination. Okay, first one is perfectionism. The second one is procrastination, waiting. Oftentimes procrastination is we want someone else to make the decision for us because we don't trust ourselves to make the decision. We're like, I don't want to be seen in the wrong for making the wrong decision, so I'm just gonna let other people make the decision. And so that's what we do, just so we can avoid seeing people. Okay, and the third, so the first is perfectionism. The second is procrastination, and the third one I think is one of the most common, probably, which is people pleasing. That we say yes when we mean no. We want other people to like us, and all of it has to do with our fear of rejection. So let me know in the chat which of those three, perfectionism, procrastination, or people pleasing, which one do you tend to do the most? I'm telling you, I'm a people pleaser. I'm like, my husband catches me all the time, whether we're like at a restaurant or working with a client because we work together, and he'll be like, you didn't mean to say yes. Why did you say yes? I'm like, I don't know. I just wanted them to like me. Okay, perfectionism. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, it is such a killer. It is such a killer. So hopefully this is something that's going to release some of you guys from this today. I'm going to go real quick on this. And I'm happy to give you guys these slides as well. So I'll show you guys how, if you guys want to see any of these slides, I'm happy to give you guys access to these slides. So there's 3 different ways that you can really create a ton of value. There's innovation, which is an improvement on something. There's invention, where you develop something from scratch. And there's implementation, where you're kind of creating something from other people, implementing what has been created by others. And so here's what I want you guys to see is how oftentimes if we're talking about creating value, it doesn't have to be that complicated. You see, there's a couple different ways that we create innovation. Sorry, I just kind of jumped around. The first is combination. So combination is combining things that already exist. So if you're thinking, how do I add value? How do I serve other people with my purpose? Do I need to go invent something? Do I need to work so hard on creating something from scratch? You really don't. You just need to combine what already exists that you can combine. Like an iPhone, it's not just a phone, it has a camera, it's maps, it's accounting, it's entertainment, it's everything all in one. If you're trying to create something, can you just combine some stuff that already exists? Elimination. So think about Netflix. Netflix said, we know people like watching movies, but how can we eliminate something that's already in existence, something like a physical storefront, just to make it easier and more accessible? So if you're thinking about how do I add value, is it something that you just need to make it less complicated? So that way you can really feel confident about what it is that you're providing. The third is acceleration. How do I create something and just have it delivered faster? Maybe it's something that you're already delivering, but can you make it simpler? And then the third is application. This is probably one of my favorites, is if you're looking at how to add value, if you're innovative, if you're like, maybe I want to write a book, or maybe I want to coach and mentor other people. Maybe I feel like there's something I want to contribute to the world, but I feel overwhelmed with everything I could do. Consider the application. What's working in one industry or one application, and how do I take and apply it to the people I feel most called to help? How am I able to do that? leadHERship Global is a great example of that. Linda was able to take something where she's like, I know people love networking groups. I know that they love creating self-education. How do I take what's working in other industries and apply it specifically for women in leadership? That is a perfect example of application. So you don't need to reinvent something. Sometimes it's just shifting of who it is that you're serving. Which one of these is like, who's getting an aha here, that you feel like kind of released from the perfectionism because you're like, I can just like steal other people's ideas and create it with my own purpose, and now I've got something that the world really needs? Who here is like having some ahas? I want to make sure that y'all get that. Okay, great. So I want to go ahead and I know I just have a few minutes left here, but yes, perfect. And I've got just a few more things, because one of the things that I really love is empowering people with a tool set and a skill set to be able to help other people find and live out their purpose. And so when you become the hero of helping other people step into their purpose, it's like you live rent-free in their heads. You're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that I could be the person who helped my help my team find their purpose. Now they're forever loyal to you. Or I had no idea that I could help the people in my coaching and consulting business, help them find their purpose while I'm also helping them scale their business or do their branding or work on marketing. Is I now have a holistic approach to help other people find their purpose. So that's one of the things that we are extremely passionate about, is empowering people to take the system that we have developed and use it in their own sphere of influence and really become purpose experts